David Miller, is it in the arc? Pulls it down, 199, and that rounds it off for a target of 200.
On Ultra Simple Golf today, we're out at the beautiful Durban Country Club, and we're joined by Proteas superstar David Miller. David, fantastic to see you.
Thank you very much, Don.
Really good to have you join us on the show. We've been talking about it for a while now, and especially now that you've come back from such a successful IPL campaign, and obviously lots to talk about later on with regard to the World Cup, but that IPL really must have been an eye-opener for you, and such a fun time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really busy time over there in India. There's a lot of traveling, a lot of games, and it really can get really busy. So, for me, it was just a great experience for the third or fourth year at the IPL. It's a great eye-opener as an overseas player to go into India and play cricket. I mean, the passion that the supporters have there is just on another level. So it really is nice to be a part of that.
Well, a team or a franchise that hasn't enjoyed much success until this year, really. But you came together so beautifully there. Some big names, obviously like Sehwag and Glenn Maxwell, was a lot expected of him, and he certainly delivered. But you played your part, which must have been very satisfying for you to be part of such a successful unit.
Yeah, I think that's what, you play cricket as obviously team sport. So, when the guys really do well, and we actually ended up in the finals. So, I mean, that's what the rewards are. It's just so rewarding when certain guys do well in different games and you come together. And I think we really had a good balance, bowling and batting. The guys really came through when they needed to, and that's all we can ask for as a team.
Tell me a little bit about the intensity of playing in India for so long with, so much, again, expectations, but as the momentum grew and the excitement, was it pretty intimidating at times?
Yeah, I think we're a little bit of a less, sort of big franchise as such, if you call it like that. But, as we carried on in the competition and we kept on winning and we lost, I think, 2 or 3 games. So, throughout the competition, the hype definitely got more and more, and a lot more expectation on the team. But hats off to the management and George Bailey for just sort of rounding the guys up and really just keeping guys sort of level-headed throughout the competition. And then we obviously lost in the semi-finals and then got a chance in the next semi-finals. So the guys really did well, and I think it's tough with expectation as a team, but the guys pulled through.
No, definitely, and it'll stand you in good stead going forward, which is really, really important. But today we're out at such a beautiful but challenging golf course, and we've talked beforehand of the certain challenges that you face here. The 5th hole at Durban Country Club, one of the toughest par 4s in the world, really, and it's given you some trouble. So we're going to go out there and try and find a way to help you negotiate that hole, and then we'll be out at the Prince of Wales as well, looking at how to get the ball consistently on the green. That's a bit of an in-between shot, which is important to have, and it'll be good to see how you deal with that. But I know you're a real competitor, and playing good golf is important to you. So it fascinates me when you say you struggle a little bit mentally on certain shots, as when you see you deliver under pressure so many times on the cricket field. But that's what's so beautiful about this game of golf, isn't it? It presents so many different challenges.
Yeah, definitely. I'm so fortunate to have this my local club, Durban Country Club, and I think that 5th hole is definitely a challenging one for me. But it's most of the course is really tight and tough at certain situations. So it's really, really good to be out, and hopefully I can overcome those battles.
Fantastic. Well, let's get up there and put you to the test and see how you go.
Thanks very much. I look forward to it.
Thanks, Dave. That's it. There it is. Just a quieter rhythm. Look at your weight on the right side, eh, Dave?
Yeah.
How did that feel?
So much better.
David is obviously a very talented athlete, but he tends to rely a little bit too heavily on his hand-eye coordination. Now, as he takes the club away, his right arm moves away beautifully on an extension of the target line, and his shoulders rotate very nicely as well. But as he gets to the top of his backswing, his hands have finished the turn, which causes a slight collapse at the top. You can see there his right arm slightly too flexed. From here, he has to hit hard with his upper body to get connected again, so he tends to cross the line a little bit on the way down, hitting quite steeply, with the result that he's going to get a big divot and a lot of inconsistency in his striking. What he really needs to do is initiate the downswing with his right hip moving towards the target and his belly button rotating more. From here, you can see that he's held the club off beautifully with his hands, which makes him such a great cricketer, being very right-hand dominant. But in golf, this will eventually catch up with you if your lower half isn't more dominant than your upper body.
Okay, Dave, we're on the 5th hole at Country Club. Obviously stroke 1, tough hole. You've hit a hell of a drive here, and kudos to you, you took an iron off the tee. Because to pull it or block it, you're dead. But before we got on camera, I watched you warming up. And there are a couple of things that are very, very noticeable. Now, firstly, what starts your downswing? What's going through your head?
To be honest, I've had so many different sort of teachings, and my father and my friends and all that just telling me a whole lot of different things. So for me, I know that my wrists play a big play in my swing, but I find that I swing with my arms and my wrists a lot of the time. So
well,
when I'm coming down with my arms and my wrists.
Simple as that, there's your problem. Now, again, I'm not giving you my opinion. And this is what frustrates me as a coach, that everyone has a different idea of the swing. I don't understand that. The ball is static. So if you adhere to the principles, that is real, not imaginative. Here's a good example. If I turn round and look at someone behind me, there's a sequence. My head moves first, then my shoulders, then my hips, right? I now look at the same person over my left shoulder. That sequence is reversed. Now I just want to show you something. Just stay where you are, drop the club, and just turn and look at someone over your left shoulder. There's your perfect golf swing. Head, shoulders, hips, feet. Now turn around again. Now from there, look at someone over your right shoulder. Now what moved first?
My head.
Your head. No, it's fascinating. Watch.
Yeah.
Turn around. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold your shoulders here. Now look at me over your right shoulder with your, you can't see me.
Yeah.
Now what you've got to understand here is that the sequence is reversed. When I held your shoulders, your head moved first, but you couldn't see anything. That's how you play golf. You've messed up the sequence. You've got to the top of your backswing, and instead of starting with your hips, you start with your hands. Now you've got to understand that by turning to here, my hands are now behind my back. If I don't reverse the sequence and start with my hips, exactly the same as cricket, getting your foot to the pitch of the ball, you're here. If you start with your hands, your body's in the way. So we're not stupid. What do? We come around our body. Now, as a lefty, you turn beautifully to here, but instead of clearing your right side, you start with the hands. This is all in the way. You now come around your body, steep, massive divot, and a big cut, correct?
Yeah.
As I said to you earlier, you're a great hitter of a golf course. What we did, and it's fascinating, and I want to show the camera now, turn the club around. Good. Grip with your right hand. Now, no wrist cock. Just give me a full shoulder turn. No left hand.
No left hand.
No left hand. Just one arm. Turn. Now pull your belly button to target. Go. Where's the divot? Gone. Now people tell you you've got to hit through the ball, follow through, rubbish. If you're left as a right-hander, if my left side clears, I follow through, I hit through the ball, whatever, you're doing exactly the same thing. The other thing that was very noticeable, you don't turn your shoulders. Your left shoulder gets to about here, then stops. Then your right arm breaks down. Now you're disconnected, as we call it. The rope from the right wrist to the right hip at address is slack. At the top of the turn, it's taut. You've got to keep that rope taut. So you turn and belly button at target. There's my follow through. Does that make sense?
A lot of sense.
So two things only. Turn your left shoulder behind your neck. Don't cock your wrist consciously. Once you've completed your turn, get your belly button pointing at that flag. Everything else takes place. Just try it. Now have two practice swings. Turn and stop. Now go. Look at this. Your follow through, your club head speed now is reaching peak speed here. Before, when you were throwing with your left side, your peak speed was reaching there. Simple. Now that's brilliant. Now in a nutshell, Dave, all I want you to think of, crystal clear, complete the backswing and get your right hip pulling your right hand through to target. Everything else takes place. You instinctively, with your ball sense and your eye-hand coordination, your hands will release. And that's one of the worst tips you've had. Use your wrists, forget it.
Okay.
God has given us gravity and centrifugal force. No one in the history of the game has ever hit the ball too late, ever. I heard that from Lee Trevino in 1971. We all hit too early. You cannot. Gravity will release that club automatically. Does that make sense? Let's have a go. Now have a practice swing. Slow. Unbelievable. Look how late you're hitting it now.
Yeah.
And look at the divots inside out. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Off you
Have a
go.
dip.
Well, it's frighteningly long. That's a 6-iron, is it?
It's a 6-iron there.
That's over 200 yards at the coast. It's unbelievable.
In this week's Echelon Did You See That Moment, it's Tiger Woods again. At the 2006 British Open at Hoylake, Tiger holds a brilliant 4-iron in the third round, and this set up the charge which would eventually result in his third British Open title.
Dave, unbelievable. You hit a 5-iron off the tee and 6-iron to here, 10 metres short of the green. Incredible. And you're in play. Now, I promise you, 100 years ago when I was here, we used to hit 2 drivers into this hole into the wind. Now, what are you thinking of now? You're going to pitch the ball. You haven't got much green to play with. What club are you going to use?
I've got a sand wedge with me.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
Because you've got no green to play with, that's the shot. Or that's the club. Now, what's going through your head on the shot? What are you thinking of?
Well, there's a bit of bunker on my right here. I don't want to mess that up and get in the bunker. But the green, yeah, I'm just trying to sort of get it up and down, really.
Just go ahead and smack and let's have a look. Just do your own thing. Okay, pretty good. But you see, you missed the green or the flag way to the right. Now, very basically, you did exactly the same thing on your full shot. Your whole upper body is moving to the right. Now, off camera, you hit a couple of chip shots that you duffed. Now, that's all caused through your left hand. Again, it's one thing I hate in the coaching game, where people tell you to release your hands. Rubbish. Your left hand will square up. If you release it early, gravity will release the club behind the ball, so you hit the ground first and there's your duff. Now, if you sit on your right leg, 100% weight on your right leg, and your right hand pulls that club past your chin, firstly you'll take the ball first, then the divot, the duff's gone. Simple as that. Plus, you've got to keep absolutely stock still. You move substantially past the ball here. So you sit on your right leg, keep your head not down, still. No wrist cock, and pull that your right arm through the ball. See what happens. We're going to have another shot now. Just have a couple of swings now, a couple of practice swings. Sit on your right leg here. That's brilliant. Keep your head absolutely static. Now try and imagine hitting my foot. You're not going to hurt me with your right hand. Pull with your right. Pull. There's your golf swing. Where's the divot?
Yeah.
Now again, people tell you to hit through the ball. Rubbish. If your right hand is pulling past your head, you will accelerate through. Off you go. Now no wrist cock. Grip a little tighter with your right hand and just pull the club down and through with your right hand. No left. Now no hands at all. Right hand through the ball and watch the club hit. Now again,
No deft up.
you released your left hand and you moved this far. You'll see it on camera. Boom. Look how crisp that is and look at the stop. That'll stop on a tarmac road, no divot.
It's a lot better that.
Absolutely brilliant.
And I don't have to use any sandbag.
No sandbags, you're dead right.
Jay, we're out here at Durban Country Club, and earlier in the year we saw a wonderful up and down by Louis Oosthuizen to win the Volvo Tournament of Champions from the back of the 18th green. Unbelievable shot.
Unbelievable.
Tight grass, we're getting into that winter time again, everything's a little bit firm. It's a tough shot. Tell us a little bit about the equipment that's on offer so we can try and get people into a club that'll help.
Yeah, Don, it's funny you should say, how difficult it gets. I can tell you that, 2 years ago my chipping was fine. I just woke up one morning and, the hands were going and flubbing over the ball, hitting the ball in the teeth or whatever the case is. And I can tell you, if you can't chip, you can't score. Very, very difficult. You're missing greens more often than you're hitting them. For the average player, if you can't chip it near the hole, you can't make the putt, you can't make the pass. One of the greatest companies when it comes to wedge making has to be Cleveland Golf.
Yeah.
Roger Cleveland's been making clubs for probably 40 years now, and all the pros entrust their short games with Cleveland. A lot of the pros do. I've brought a couple of options here. The 588, which is the new Rotex design, has got an incredible amount of abrasion on the face, and the more abrasive the face is, the more it spins the ball. People say, why would you want to spin the ball? Why do the grooves need to be? These particular grooves are 16% deeper than any other wedge. Okay, so in Formula One they use slicks most of the time, but when the rain comes, they have to put on standard tires. The grooves in the tires is what flicks away the debris, the moisture, etc. And the same thing applies with wedges. What Cleveland done with the Rotex face is that they've got grooves going obviously, horizontally, and then they've milled the face so it actually grooves on top of grooves. So you're going to get the maximum amount of spin, and that's what everybody wants. When the guys are watching late at night on the TV, watching the golf, you say, geez, how did that guy do that? And it's a combination using the right ball and a great wedge. And the 588's got an unbelievable face. So what I want you to do, Don, is maybe have a chip with that, but before we go, for guys that have the same chipping affliction as me, who's been struggling with their chipping, Cleveland have brought out a club called the Smart Soul. You can see how wide this is. And I was having a chat with Mark O'Brien, who's the head of Cleveland Golf, and when people talk about bounce, it's very confusing for the customer. So for the viewers at home, it's the amount of skid that you want from a wedge. Typically, if guys tend to dig, if they allow the club to get into the soil and then they get that flubber where the ball goes a couple of feet in front of you and there's a huge divot, you need to have a club with lots of bounce, which ultimately will give you lots of skid. Okay. Now with the Smart Sole, you can see here, if I put this down, how the leading edge sits way above, the part that actually makes contact with the ground. So what does that do? The more bounce there is, the more skid you get. So you're not going to leave the club in the ground. Okay. Obviously, if you're a talented player, a lot of the good players on tour will use 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 degree bounce. But for the average player, I would advocate much more bounce. The more bounce you have, the easier it is to get the club sliding under the ball, especially with bunkers. If there's lots of bounce, the club bounces in the bunker and allows the ball to be thrown out there. So let's have a few chips here, Don. Maybe you can try the 588 first, and let's try the Smart Sol and see. Let's see if there's any improvement off these tight lies.
It's just
very good. That's fine. So two very nice chips, Don. How do they feel?
Well, the 588 Rotex, there's no doubt, is a slightly softer feel. But, when you put the Smart Sol in your hand, it's got a different kind of look
looks
to
weird.
it.
Looks
but
a bit
wow, when it comes off the face, especially off such a hard surface, you just got to trust it. But there's no doubt in my mind that this has got to be huge benefit to the average golfer. Absolutely no doubt.
I think guys that are a little bit iffy with their chipping, the Smart Sol's the way to go, and the guys that know what they're doing, the 588.
Definitely. Thanks, Jay.
Thanks, Don.
Get in the
Unreal.
hole. Come on.
Oh, fantastic. Excellent. Well held. Well
Thank
held.
you.
Brilliant. David, that's an absolutely brilliant four. And what I loved so much about it is you used your head all the way around there. And clearly, it's a hole that gives you nightmares when you stand on the tee. Tell us a little bit about your philosophy there coming in there.
Yeah, it is definitely a harder hole for me. I really sort of dread it when I get to the tee box. But the last couple of rounds that I've been playing here, I've actually started to go more conservative rather than the power game. So just get myself in play off the tee box, which I did to start with. And then from then on, I'm in the game. And if I come up short of the green, which I did, then I'm sort of happy with that. And then just getting on the green with a chip, and then giving myself the chance to get a par. But if I miss that, I get a bogey. So that was my general game plan today, and it worked.
Brilliant. Well, that's what's so important. It's a tough hole. It's a stroke one. A lot of people treat it like a par five, even in tournament conditions, depending on the weather. And you treat it with respect, and often it will respect you and give you one back, like a brilliantly holed putt. Just a fantastic job. Now we're going to go on to the 12th hole, slightly different challenge, but it's all about being precise, bit of finesse in it. So I'm looking forward to see how you deal with that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well.
Well done, Dave. Fantastic form.
Thanks very much, Don.
Next week on USG, we're back out at the Durban Country Club with David Miller, and he takes on the legendary Prince of Wales Par 3.